tip of the tongue. And that'll be $380,000. In December 2019, Mauricio Catalan, who's a famous artist, went to Miami and duct taped a banana to the wall, and it sold for $380,000. Now, what gave this banana value? What gives NFTs their value? Let's find out more in today's episode. Let's start talking about how to value an NFT, but before we get to that, I'd like to give a simple test of WGAS, or who gives a shit. The first thing you want to ask yourself is, who actually cares about this NFT and will someone else buy it from me? Because just like any piece of artwork, art is in the eye of the beholder, and especially NFTs are completely worthless if no one else is willing to buy it from you. So first ask yourself, WGAS, who gives a shit? And once you have an answer for that, if people actually give a shit, then proceed with the rest of the video. So once you've made sure someone actually cares about the NFT collection you're investing in, I'll give you 5 simple things to look out for. You want to look out for things in this order. So you want to look for red flags, scarcity, rarity, themes, and provenance. And we'll talk about each of these topics in detail. So first, let's get started with the red flags. I made this little red flag here that I'm going to wave around each time I say something important. So to talk about red flags and make it super helpful to you, I'm actually going to break it down into sections. First, we're going to talk about red flags you can spot on the website or white paper of a project. So, see, something important is coming up. First thing you can do is go to the website and the white paper and check for any spelling mistakes. Spelling mistakes are a clear sign that not enough time was spent on the project, or that the devs are from a country where they do not speak English, where usually most drugs come from. Although it's not fair to generalize like that, that is true. In many circumstances, most of these drugs are not coming from the United States, because of course we know the United States, the legal system is far stronger than other countries. See, something important's coming up. You're catching on. So, a study done by the United States government found out that 25% of all NFT and crypto white papers are cloned, meaning that they're just plagiarized. So pay special attention to the white paper and the roadmap and make sure that they're not cloned. Now, if they have not been cloned, this is not a green flag, but it avoids one major red flag. Now, moving away from the website, we'll talk about how you can spot red flags on social media. We'll split it up into 2 categories that are pertinent for NFTs. If you haven't noticed, NFTs happen between Discord and Twitter. Important red flag on Discord is the number of members. Check between Discord and Twitter how many people are following them on Twitter. Use some common sense to check whether the number of Twitter followers and the number of Discord followers actually makes sense. In a lot of cases, in rug projects, you'll see hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers, and a good gauge to use is how big is Magic Eden, the #1 exchange on Solana. Now, another important red flag you can look out for on Twitter is there any mutual connections? Chances are, if it's a project with 100,000 followers, you have to have at least 10 or 20 mutual connections with that project. Now, in order for this to work successfully, you have to follow credible social media influencers in the blockchain of your choice. So make sure to follow some credible accounts that put out alpha. Once you've done this, you can just check how many mutual followers do you have with that project. Now, if a project is boasting over 100,000 followers, but you have 0 mutual connections, that's a clear red flag. Now, even if you do have mutual connections, make sure that the number of followers actually makes sense. Now, I don't want to put down any project for funding their Twitter great goats, but let's...
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Another red flag to look out for on Twitter is if the founders are doing Twitter Spaces. If the founders are doing Twitter Spaces, that removes a huge red flag before the mint. It actually shows they're dedicated to the project and they'll come and vouch for it in person. Another tip I have for you regarding Twitter is to use online tools that help you check whether the followers behind an account are real or fake. I've actually linked you to a completely free tool below. We're not at all sponsored by them, I'm just trying to provide some value. Now that we've addressed some of the red flags you may find on Twitter, let's move on to addressing some of the red flags you can spot on Discord. A good place to start would be to check the total number of active users compared to the ones that are in the server. A good healthy ratio is at least 20%. Projects where less than 20% of accounts are active are either A, dying, or B, have fake accounts. Now, just because a project has 20% or more active members does not make it a good investment. Although it's much harder to do, even the active member count is fungible, so be wary of that. Another red flag to look out for on Discord is where the moderation team is based out of. Rug projects tend to be low investment. This usually means that they hire the cheapest moderation team they can get. Often the moderators barely know English, so the moderators knowing fluent English removes a big red flag. On top of the moderators knowing English, you kind of want to know if the moderators are happy working at their current job. Moderators that are working for free or moderators that are really happy at their job signify that the team is actually building something big. Another red flag to look out for on Discord is the reactions to every announcement. Now, if announcements are not getting reactions, that's a big red flag. Also, if you want to dig a little deeper, you can actually check who these reactions are coming from. Another huge red flag is server activity. Especially now in the bear market, most servers don't receive nearly the amount of activity they did 6 months ago during the bull market. This usually means if you see a super active server, they have paid chatters. It's very easy to recognize paid chatters because they're over optimistic about the project or the market and they never stop talking. So honestly, an active chat is usually a red flag, especially in the bear market. Now, this doesn't mean every active chat has paid chatters, but it's a good thing to watch out for when trading NFTs, because usually it's scams and rugs that use this strategy. Now, the final set of red flags we're going to speak about are red flags on the blockchain itself. Now, compared to a year ago, thieves have gotten very good at hiding their work on the blockchain, so it's really hard to spot. But here are some key things you can look out for. Number 1, look at the number of unique wallets and check whether these wallets are holding other NFTs. Start off by using a website like SoulScan to check the distribution of NFTs across wallets. You don't want few wallets that hold the majority of the NFTs because this will lead to a supply shock. Generally, the higher number of holders a collection has, the more stable their floor price tends to be. Another red flag you have to look out for on the blockchain is whether you're minting the NFT you actually want. So it's been really common in this space for collections to be completely ripped off, leading to an on mint day. So you have to make sure that the contract address you're interacting with is the one from the real team. Finally, the third thing you want to look out for on the blockchain is the total volume traded. You actually want to snipe that collection on a marketplace like OpenSea or Magic Eden and check the number of NFTs sold every day. Now, if NFTs are not moving every day, generally that means that collection has gone stale. And if it's before the mint, you want to verify that your whitelist token has the correct contract address. Now that we've talked about the red flags, let's talk about scarcity. So let's start talking about scarcity. Now, scarcity is the idea that you have something someone else wants but cannot have. Now, the reason they can't have it is due to a mirage of problems, including barriers to entry like supply, price, and reproducibility. Let's talk about each of these in detail. Any high school economics course probably taught you the relationship between supply and demand. The lower the supply, the higher the demand, and vice versa, the higher the supply, the lower the demand. Now, when valuing an NFT, there's two types of scarcity to look out for. There's a scarcity of that collection in comparison to other collections on that blockchain, and there's the rarity of individual NFTs within that collection to other NFTs within the same collection. So there's two types of scarcity we have to pay attention for when valuing an NFT. Both are very important, but according to the order in this video, I place higher emphasis on the value of the entire collection over the rarity of a single NFT. Let's move on to talking about the rarity of a single NFT. Most projects actually have their own rarity tools, but even if it's not available, you can use publicly available tools like Rarity Sniper that allow you to read the rarity of individual NFTs. Before deciding the value of your NFT, make sure you know how it ranks compared to the NFT in the rest of the collection. Now, once you've identified the rarity of your specific NFT, you want to index that rarity against recent sales. You want to go back and track the last 20 or 30 sales. and you want to check the rarity on each NFT. Once you have the rarity on each NFT and the price it's sold at, you can easily make an equation that tells you the rarity to price ratio. Now, I know this is very confusing, so I decided to make a Google Sheets to help all of you guys out. I've actually put a link to a rarity price calculator below. Don't use this as your only tool, but use it as a supplementary tool to index your NFT against others that have recently sold and find its true fair market value according to rarity alone. Now that we've talked about red flags, scarcity, and rarity, let's move on to talking about provenance. Now, if you don't know what provenance is, you can treat it kind of like an NFT's legacy. Who held your NFT before it came to you? Now, thanks to the blockchain, the ledger of transactions is completely visible. Using a website like SoulScan, you can actually check who held the NFT before you. Now, there's two categories of people to hold this NFT. The first category is really famous people. An example would be Eminem buying a Bored Ape Yacht Club or Snoop Dogg buying a Bored Ape Kennel Club. The second category of people is actually notable traders and notable investors. The way to find a notable investor is to actually use a website that lists them, provided in the comment section below, but you can also do this process manually. By using a website like SoulScan, you can snipe the wallet of the person that sold you this NFT. If that wallet contains a blue chip NFT like a CryptoPunks or DGods or Bored Ape Yacht Club, that means it came from a notable trader or investor, and that NFT has provenance. Now, an interesting thing about provenance in the first category, really famous people, is it can not only increase the value of a single NFT, it can raise the value of an entire collection. The second category of provenance, which is notable investors and traders, can build credibility for a large collection and also increase the value of individual NFTs. Now that we've talked about red flags, scarcity, rarity, and provenance, it's time to move on to our final topic of the day: assessing the team. The team is actually overlooked at when valuing an NFT, but an NFT's future value is often tied to events on its roadmap, and whether or not those events are executed properly is up to the team. So ask yourself these questions when evaluating the team. Who are the founders? Are they fit for their role? Do they have any experience in crypto? When did they decide to enter crypto? Is this their first NFT project? Or if it's not, how many NFT projects do they have? Then, once you've understood the founders fairly well, it's time to move on to assessing the rest of the team. Like I mentioned earlier in the red flag section, definitely investigate the moderation team. The moderation team is the face of any collection, and if it's not solid, it actually reduces the value of your NFT. So in regards to the moderation team, ask yourself, where's the moderation team from? Are they happy with their job? Would they do it for free? By asking yourself these questions, you can actually safeguard yourself from investing in NFTs that lose value. So that's been our educational tutorial on how to value an NFT. I hope I was able to add some value to your day. Now, if you have any questions I have not yet answered, make sure to ask them in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time on DAWS Radio.